Hello, this is Molly Reamer with this week's Rituals of Returning mini video for the Creative Spirit Circle and Bridget's Grove and 30 Days of Goddess, all the things at once. And so this week we are actually just going back to the roots with the 30 Days of Goddess daily practice deck, and then a small assist, since we're here in the month of Aramid, a small assist from the Botanical Inspirations Oracle. I really want to. I'm using a lot of plant-based decks this year, but in this month of Aramid and healing, I really wanted to go ahead and focus on some herbal decks, Botanical Inspirations. So we're actually going to start with that card, and I like the kind of antique seed packet look, but we got the white rose from this deck, which is about new starts and wisdom. Quoting Aristotle, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So I also was encouraged to see this card show up because it reminded me of the White Rose Society, which was an undercover group in the 30s that resisted Hitler and in the 40s that resisted Hitler and fascism and Nazis, and it was an organization of students and intellectuals, academics that engaged in lots of acts of underground resistance. And it was I find inspiration there. I read a couple of years ago, I read a fiction book. I can't remember the title of it, but it was about members of the White Rose Society. So I feel like it is a timely message for us as we continue to lift our small fists of resistance and claim the acts of power that we can and act in the ways that we can. So, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. The white rose is the Eastern equivalent of the lotus flower and similarly denotes the wisdom of enlightenment. One of the many myths surrounding the white rose is the story of its first creation. When Aphrodite, the goddess of love, rose up from the ocean, the sea foam formed roses in her honor. In the Victorian language of flowers, the white rose held the promise of a new beginning. So, the white rose is giving us the promise of a new beginning. The petals of a rose are like a spiral. The wisdom you have learned along the way keeps circling back to you, lifting you up to new heights. Even the pain of life's thorny lessons are signs that you have grown and are now prepared for a fresh new beginning. So, how are you preparing for a fresh new beginning? How are you lifting a small fist of resistance? How are you choosing to take action even in the thorny patches of life? And also, I think this card asks us to consider, how are we stopping to smell the roses? How are we stopping to celebrate and savor and delight in the small joys of where we are? So how are we navigating the thorns? How are we savoring the beauty? We can have both thorns and beauty, and we need courage for both to navigate the thorns and to pause to smell the roses. Courage is required for both. Okay, so moving on to the 30 Days of Goddess practice deck, the daily practice deck. This is standalone. You can use it at any time, and it really is designed to create these mix and match mini rituals for you to use. And so the word we received is heart. So may you pause to listen to your heart and let it guide you. May you pause to listen to your heart. I listen to my heart. I let it guide me. Might be an affirmation for this week. I know myself. I know myself. I trust the wisdom of my heart. I lean in to the heart and listen. I make space to listen to my heart. And then a practice. Oh, and perfectly, it connects to the heart. So here's a practice, and you may follow along with me right now if you wish. Place one hand on your heart and say any or all of these aloud. I am whole and holy. Goddess, guide me. I am enough. I am grateful. And then an affirmation card as well. These are part of the booster pack. This one is one, oh my goodness, I have to come back to this one so often. I do not always apply it. I do not always embody it. Today I step out of force and into ease. Today I step out of force and into ease. I navigate the thorns of life with love and devotion, or with love and courage. Today I step out of force and into ease. And then we've got two little prayers to end. This one is a good one for us, a brief one about risk and courage. May I risk stepping into myself, my own power, my own shining, my own joy, my own purpose, my own life lived in all its risks and rising, which I think makes a nice connection to the white rose and the notion of both thorns and beauty in every day. So my own life lived in all its risks and rising. And then we're really going to close with this prayer card. And I do make these little cards every week for members of the Goddess Magic community. So hop on over to patreon.com/goddessmagic if you would like to get your weekly cards. And it is this one, we're talking in that community. Our weekly community practice lives have been focused on kind of this notion of walking the pollen path. So another affirmation for this week could be, I walk the pollen path. And I know, and I acknowledge this in our community practice live, for people who struggle with allergies, the pollen path does not sound like a joyful place to walk. I find the notion of pollen possibility or the pollen path to be just a really evocative image. So if you have allergies, I apologize for invoking the power and the magic of the pollen path. And you may wish to avoid printing out my affirmation card on walking the pollen path. But I find it metaphorically a really powerful idea of pollen possibility and pollen path. So this concept is going to recur in the next couple of cards in the next couple of community practice lives, because I've written various poems about the pollen path and pollen possibilities. So here we go. Today the sun is warm and the sky is blue. The wind is cool and the birds are singing. I am thinking about the sweet, swift passage of time beneath the feet of bees, about the pollen path, about the hope song of the forest and the love song of the meadow, about our lives entwined with the rhythms of nature, our bodies entwined with plants, our souls entwined with the sacred reality of being alive together right now. Each day offers us the opportunity to tune our lives to the rhythm of the land we live on, to the song of the sacred unfolding. We come back home to ourselves. We begin again. We are healed and restored by the practice of noticing, the power of belonging, the magic of regular return to holy here-ness. So I'm thinking of other affirmations here. I regularly return to holy here-ness. I regularly return to holy here-ness. I tune my life to the rhythm of the land I live on. I listen to the song of the sacred unfolding. I come back home to myself. So thank you so much for being here this week. May you listen to your heart. May you trust in the wisdom of new beginnings. May you step out of force and into ease. And may you walk the pollen path. Thank you so much for being here. Keep living your magic, everybody. Bye-bye.